Welcome back to the Resilient Philosopher. This is the Leon Dantes coming to you today with a subject about the grandparents' role and the development of their grandkids. Today is very common for grandparents to live with the kids or one of the kids to help take care of the cost of living. When that happens, and there's young children or children in the house, sometimes the line of what a grandparent should do or shouldn't do gets blurred. Now, this is not against grandparents teaching their grandkids or correcting their grandkids. That is necessary. A grandparent is a seasoned parent and therefore will have good perspectives and good point of views to emphasize in the development of a child. But ultimately, a grandparent has already raised their kids and they're in the age of retirement. Or as I would say, they're at that age where they should enjoy their grandkids and not having to raise them. There is circumstances where it's necessary. The parents lose custody, the parent is ill, or vice versa, whichever scenario happens. But most importantly, I want to talk about what happens, in my point of view, when the grandparents and the parents live together and there's a child involved or multiple children. The first thing is the parents' job is not only to provide for the children physically, meaning food and shelter and structure in the children's life. There are also going to be a lot of times where the parent is going to be the bad person in this scenario because by correcting their children, they're going to have to take initiatives and maybe taking things away, putting them in timeout. And usually what the child does is it will try to play the parents. Well, when the grandparents live in the house, or even if the grandparents don't live in the house, when they go to visit their grandparents, the grandparents are more of they take on a role of wisdom, meaning let's assume that you correct your child. Your child gets upset with you, goes running to grandma and grandpa. Their job is not to baby them and saying, "Oh, you're being too tough on the grandkid." No, a good grandparent or the proper procedure for a grandparent is to elaborate as in why it's important for the child to be corrected. And he can speak with experience and he still brings them together because now the child does not see the grandparents as an adversary. It actually starts seeing the grandparents as a person that they can talk to without judgment. That brings up a dialogue with the grandparents that perhaps they wouldn't have with their own parents. And the communication between grandparents and parents is important because the grandparent, via having that opportunity to understand and listen to the grandkid, can actually give feedback to the parent as in what to do in retrospect to the circumstances. Now, again, this is not a shared nurturing or development of a child. It's just that I believe that a parent becomes that philosopher in a children's life. They have lived their life, they have seen what kids their age do. I mean, after all, they did raise the parent or one of the parents. And so they can be more relatable to both the parent and the child. Now, when I say this, I also say that a parent should not take advantage of the grandparents by having the grandparents be the one to be correcting the child or the children. The reason being is, again, that grandparent already raised their kids. That grandparent is now enjoying the life, most likely, of a retiree. They shouldn't have to be bothered with having to take the serious role of actually developing a child into adolescence or teenage years or even into adulthood. Their role becomes more of a friend that listens but is unbiased at the same time. That way, the child always has someone to talk to other than the parents about the parents. Now, children have a tendency of putting parents against each other. And that usually happens because the parent wants to rely on only one person being the one to punish. So you will get circumstances where a child might ask permission to one parent, and that parent passes on that duty to the other. Well, ask your mom if that's okay with her, or ask your dad if that's okay with him. Those scenarios are almost avoidance to correcting a child. The best case scenario would be for the parents to say to the children or to the child, I have to talk to the other parent and find out what we're going to do. See, you have to show a united front because the role of the grandparents is not to be correcting the child because the parents refuse to, but it's more of helping relieve the load of having a good parent and a bad parent scenario. So, a grandparent is that safe haven for a child to feel comfortable to speak up and able to still learn from the correction of what they did wrong. This has a tie to leadership and great details because in leadership, being longer in a company is essential for teaching newcomers on how to proceed, learn, and be empowered to continue to grow within a company. That is why leadership roles are not exclusive to titles. They're actually a very broad because a good leader does not need a title. It needs initiative. I've talked about that many times. And the same role that a grandparent takes with a child in the development, a person that has been in a job for a long time can do the same thing. Their job is not to correct the employee, but to help in the growth of that employee. They are not there to badmouth the leadership team, but to ask certain questions like maybe you should ask what the team leader said, or maybe you should ask the supervisor what he meant by it. They have now more knowledge as in how the procedures work within the structure of the company. It is the responsibility of the leadership team, whether it's a line support or a team leader that works with management, even lower and upper management, to really help that employee. The only thing that seasoned employee is doing is being there to help them grow. That seasoned employee might listen to the complaints and might help with the outcome of a situation. That is why a person that has been the longest amount of time within a company becomes kind of a mediator between that employee and the response from management. As a matter of fact, if bad leadership is within lower or upper management, that employee can be the one to really help and say, listen, you need to speak up and maybe go to HR and have your voice heard because this is a trend. This leadership has been doing that more often. We're running out of workers because they run them out. So if you feel like you're not being treated properly, your voice should be heard within HR so they can know what situations we're addressing. So again, it's the same similar role that a grandparent plays within the development of a child or children. Having said that, leadership starts at home. It is very important not to play, as a parent, the role of a friend that is somewhat permissive and allows for bad behavior to be seen as normal. The parent sets the structure. The grandparent explains why the structure is needed and follows through with the same structure that the parents have. What you cannot do at your parents' house, you cannot do at your grandparents' house. It is that simple. Because what you shouldn't be doing when your management is there or your supervisors or the leadership is there, you shouldn't do when the leadership is not there. Personally, I went through that many times in my previous jobs where me being a manager or supervisor and I wouldn't be there that day, I expected my team to act like if I was there. Because to me, feeling needed does not secure a job. Feeling needed just sees the void of my lack of leadership skills. Because as a leader, I am supposed to empower others to be successful. Same thing goes with a parent. As a parent, you are supposed to empower your children to be better than you, to have a better structure, to have a better future, to really understand how life works before they have to face the real world. Now, just like in the workplace, every child is different. Some children pick up and learn from their siblings' mistakes and therefore do not make the same mistakes. Yet, they will make mistakes that are needed to be corrected. Same thing can be said about work. And then when you have that more knowledgeable team members, they become again the same role as the grandparent in the sense that they will give proper feedback to both leadership and to the employee. They really can help in the development of the child or the coworker by empowering them to speak up and want to learn more. That is a very key part. See, in leadership, if you think that by not teaching someone how to do your job is going to guarantee that you have that job, that is an illusion. You can be replaced at any given time, whether you teach someone else to do your job or not. Same thing goes with our children. They will outgrow us. They will have their own lives. And it's part of how we structure and how we correct their ways, and that will continue to build that relationship that in the future, when you yourself become a grandparent, you can enjoy just being there for your grandkids and helping in the development of their childhood by being there for the parents and the child. I want to remind everyone that the best way to help and support this podcast and the website is by first sharing the content. Sharing the content with your friends, sharing the content in social media, and actually putting a comment as in why you believe that others should listen to the podcast. Then, on top of that, we also have a GoFundMe donation that can help with the cost of operations for the website and the podcast. We also have books that have been published to the company Vision Leon LLC by either purchasing them on Amazon or Barnes and Nobles or even Apple Books and digital, but also we have them available for free in the website. Now, the one thing we ask of you to do is if you download the free version, please go and leave a review on the website or on Amazon or any other place that you can in order to promote the content. The idea behind the resilient philosopher is not about how much money we can make from this, but how many people can we reach so that eventually everyone can be a resilient philosopher. Now, I thank everyone that listens to the episode, and it will continue on for as long as possible. And with that being said, I see you next week, and I believe that we can make a difference together by learning and by showing up for ourselves every single day. Because every day is a great day to learn something new by removing excuses and addressing the reasons or issues. Until next Tuesday, this is the Leon Dantes wishing you a great week.